Most people spend their entire lives trying to blend in. Yet the spiritually awake, like Alan Watts, end up refusing to play the part. Why? In experiments, 75% of us conform, even when we know it feels wrong. One Facebook engineer helped design the addiction, then walked away. But what forces make waking up feel like exile? And what secret do the outsiders see that you do not? The answer starts on a stage, with Alan Watts and the cost of seeing through the script. Social pressure isn't just a feeling. It's a force measured in laboratories and coded into the apps we use every day. In the early 1950s, psychologist Solomon Asch ran a simple experiment. He seated a group of people at a table, showed them a set of lines, and asked which ones matched. The catch is that all but one participant were in on the trick, giving the wrong answer with total confidence. 3 out of 4 real participants, 75%, went along with the group at least once, even when their own eyes said something different. The urge to fit in overrides what people know is true. This isn't some relic of the past. Today, the mechanics of conformity are built into our digital lives. Social platforms are engineered to reward agreement, to nudge us toward the popular choice, the easy like, the safe opinion. Justin Rosenstein, an engineer at Facebook, helped design the like button, the tiny icon that would become a symbol of approval and belonging for billions. But as the feature took hold, Rosenstein began to see its shadow. He watched as the feedback loop he helped create fueled addiction, distraction, and a culture of constant comparison. In 2008, he walked away from Facebook, unsettled by the realization that the system he helped build was training people to conform, to chase validation at the expense of their own values. The cost of nonconformity isn't just social discomfort. It's the risk of losing status, approval, even your sense of safety. Yet for those who wake up to the game, the price of staying asleep becomes too steep to pay. Alan Watts once compared life to a magician's act, a grand illusion staged so well that even the audience forgets it is a trick. Most people, he said, are swept along by the drama, never pausing to question the script. But every so often, someone catches a glimpse behind the curtain. The laughter, the applause, the cues, all suddenly exposed as part of a show. Watts called this moment the first taste of awakening, not a rebellion, but a realization. In 1950, Watts made a quiet but radical decision. He resigned from the Anglican priesthood, leaving behind the security of tradition and the comfort of belonging. In his resignation letter, he described feeling like an actor who is seen backstage. The rituals, the robes, the solemnity, once meaningful, now revealed as costumes and choreography. He could not keep pretending. Born in 1915, Watts spent his life translating Eastern wisdom for Western ears. His books, The Wisdom of Insecurity, The Way of Zen, and the book on the taboo against knowing who you are, invited readers to see through the illusion of separateness. He insisted the world is not a puzzle to be solved, but a play to be experienced. You have seen that the universe is at root a magical illusion and a fabulous game, he wrote. The moment you see the trick, you cannot unsee it. The urge to fit in fades, replaced by a strange new clarity. You are no longer a character lost in the drama. You become the witness, the one who sees the game for what it is. The modern world is engineered for noise. Notifications ping, headlines flash, and every spare moment is filled with something demanding attention. The pace can be relentless. So much so that silence itself starts to feel like a rare and endangered species. Yet for those who wake up, the clamor becomes unbearable. It is not just a preference for quiet, it is a physiological need. Neuroscientist David Creswell's 2017 study found that even short periods of silence restore the brain's capacity for focus and creativity, almost like clearing static from a radio. When the mind is bombarded by constant input, attention splinters. But in silence, neural pathways for insight and renewal are strengthened. This is not just theory. In 1952, composer John Cage staged a concert in Woodstock where the pianist sat at the keyboard for exactly 4 minutes and 33 seconds, playing nothing. The audience fidgeted, coughed, and shifted in their seats. But as the minutes passed, a strange stillness settled in. Some described hearing the world for the first time, the wind, the creak of floorboards, their own breath. Cage's piece was not about emptiness. It was an invitation to notice what is always present beneath the noise. For people like Mojid Kokorisha, silence is not a luxury, it is survival. After years of feeling frayed by constant demands, he booked his first silent retreat and sent a single message to his family saying, "Doing this for me needs some quiet." He later said it was the first time he heard his own thoughts clearly. The spiritually awake step away from the frenzy, not to escape life, but to finally hear it. Authenticity has a cost, and it's steeper than most people expect. When someone stops playing along, when they start saying what they really think, or refuse to laugh at a joke that lands wrong, they often find themselves quietly set aside. Organizational psychologists have tracked this pattern for decades. People who choose honesty over harmony are more likely to be left out of group chats, skipped over for invitations, or quietly sidelined at work. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just the slow fade of social warmth. Yet the research shows something surprising. While those who act authentically are more likely to experience exclusion, they also report a deeper sense of meaning and engagement in their lives. The trade-off isn't clean or easy, but it's real. Toni Okamoto, the author and entrepreneur, remembers the moment her own script broke. She was sitting in a crowded meeting, nodding along, when she realized every word out of her mouth was just another attempt to fit. She opened her calendar and typed a single line, "This no longer fits," and made the decision to travel alone for the first time. The fallout came fast. Some colleagues stopped reaching out. Invitations dried up, but in the space that opened, she found a new kind of connection, one rooted in truth, not performance. Okamoto later described the experience as both lonely and liberating. She said she lost some people, but she found herself. For those on the path of awakening, this is the price of honesty. The world may shrink around you for a while, but what remains is real, and what grows in that space is worth more than any borrowed belonging. Neuroscientists have discovered that our sense of being a separate self, the narrator in our minds, is tied to a network deep in the brain called the default mode network, also known as DMN. During meditation and in moments of deep insight, this network grows quiet. Dr. Robin Carhart Harris found that when the DMN is dialed down, the boundaries of ego dissolve, and people report feeling less isolated, more connected to everything. Alan Watts described this as remembering you are not just a role, not just a story you tell yourself, but awareness itself. You are not a wave trying to fit in with the ocean. You are the ocean, moving as a wave for a while. The urge to squeeze into a role or a mask starts to feel absurd. What once felt like safety now feels like a tiny, ill-fitting box. In this space, the refusal to fit in isn't a rebellion. It's a quiet return to your true scale. There is a quiet power in drawing a line and honoring it. For the spiritually awake, refusal is not just a feeling. It becomes a practice woven into daily life. 3 boundaries form the backbone of this sacred self-respect. The first is speaking honestly, even when it is uncomfortable. Assertive communication means you say what you mean and let others react as they will. No more nodding along or swallowing your truth. The second is choosing your environment with care. This might mean turning off notifications, stepping away from draining conversations, or spending time where your presence feels welcomed, not tolerated. The third is living in alignment with your deepest values. Authentic self-expression is not about making a scene. It is about refusing to perform at the cost of your own peace. These boundaries are not walls. They are invitations to live in truth. Each time you honor them, you reclaim a little more of your freedom. In the Ash conformity experiments, 75% of participants gave answers they knew were wrong, showing just how strong the urge to fit in can be. Alan Watts resigned from the priesthood in 1950, a documented act that marked his refusal to follow a script he no longer believed in. Decades later, Justin Rosenstein left Facebook, citing concerns about the effects of technology on human attention, demonstrating that the struggle to remain authentic persists across generations. While neuroscience links awakening to changes in the brain's default mode network, the full process remains only partially understood. Research confirms the benefits of silence and the social costs of honesty, but how many will take these steps remains unknown. What is clear? Each act of stepping away from the crowd is grounded in evidence, not rebellion. The records show that awakening often begins with discomfort, but ends in self-respect. As Watts wrote in 1951, the meaning of life is just to be alive. Today, that remains a documented choice.